Welcome back to another episode of the Co-op Connection podcast. Today we are joined by Robert Jacobs from Professional Janitorial Services, also known as PJS. Robert shares trends he sees in the janitorial world, as well as how PJS can help keep our members clean and safe. So sit back, crank up that volume, and enjoy.
All right, Robert, one thing we like to do at the beginning of all of our episodes is to learn a little bit more about who you are professionally. And so if you could share with us a little bit about how you got into this industry and how long you've been doing this for.
Yeah, absolutely. So I graduated from Texas A&M in 2011. In 2010, going into my senior year, I interned for my stepdad at Transwestern at the old Marathon Oil Tower, 5555 San Felipe, where I kind of figured out that there was a lot more that went into running a building, specifically janitorial. I got invited to go on a trip with PJS, and at the time I didn't know anybody at PJS. And I met Floyd Mahaney there. At Texas A&M, I was studying to become a lawyer. The following year I graduated, I got re-invited to the same trip where I met Brent Southwell, the main owner of PJS, and I'm talking to him and getting ready to take the LSAT. And it's kind of a funny story looking back on it because I'm telling him all these things. I really didn't know who he was, telling him I wanted to be a lawyer, and he looks at me and goes, "Robert, I have a bunch of buddies that are all lawyers, and yeah, they do well, but they all work 16-hour days." He goes, "Look at me. I'm a janitor. I work 4 hours a week, you don't want to be a lawyer. So go take the LSAT, call me up when you're done, and we'll go grab a burger and we'll talk about different options." So I get home from the trip and I tell my mom, I'm like, "Mom, I don't think I want to be a lawyer anymore. I think I want to be a janitor. I met this Brent Southwell guy, and he's telling me all these things." And she looks at me, she goes, Brent's the owner of that janitorial company. That's not going to be you." And I'm like, I don't know, Mom. I'm pretty sure I'm just going to work 4 hours, a week for the rest of my life. And she goes, "Just take the LSAT." She was devastated because it's all I've ever wanted to be was a lawyer. So I take the LSAT, call Brent up, and I was going to take a semester off anyways. He gets me my first job selling janitorial supplies. I did that for a year and a half. Was not my favorite thing to do. I was a top performer at the company. Called up Brent and said, "It's just not what I'm looking for." And he goes, "Well, we were actually hoping you'd give us a call now that you're a little bit more trained in sales. Call Floyd." So that was back when 2013, so I'm on my 12th year now at PJS. I never went to law school.
Wow.
Best decision I ever made, not to go to law school. I absolutely love being a janitor and being in this market, and it's been fun.
All right. From wanting to pursue being a lawyer to being a janitor.
Yeah, two different sides of the spectrum, but I'm very grateful for the opportunities Brent and Floyd have given me, and it's been a great run over the last 11 and a half years, 12 years.
And almost 12 years. That's good.
Starting out as a 24-year-old, now 36, doing it my whole career, so it's been good.
All right, thanks for sharing about that.
Yeah.
So working at PJS, what sets your cleaning services apart from other companies in the industry?
Yeah, it's a great question. There are a ton of janitorial companies out there in the market, and unfortunately, most of them, when they go into a new opportunity, their salesperson's goal is to win the job.
Mm-hmm.
And then once they win the job, they hand it over to operations, and they tell operations, "Figure it out."
Mm-hmm.
The problem with that, in our world, 80% of the monthly cost is all labor.
Okay.
So I say that because if you don't have enough labor to do the work, things get missed, issues happen. So we say it's, a lot of people bid it to win it instead of bidding it to do the job that we're being hired for. So what really separates us from our competition is when we hired Jose Menjivar, he's the president of our company. At the time, he was working for the largest janitorial company in the world. We hired him away after he'd been there for 18 years. He's been with us for 21 now. He came over and said, the only reason I'm going to come over is if in operations we have more control over what gets sold. And we really grasped that concept over the years. And so what that means is we're an operations-driven company, not a sales-driven company. So everything that the sales team goes out and does prior to them turning in their bid to the prospect, operations is involved in it. They approve the numbers, they look at the cost analysis sheet and say, yes, we can do the things that we're saying we're going to do for the price that we're telling them, for the pay rates, because everything we do is labor. It only makes sense that operations is included from the very beginning. When I go out and I walk a church or a private school, I usually bring somebody from my operations team with them. At the end of the day, they're the ones who have to get it done. So it only makes sense for them to come in at the beginning when we're walking the facility. Usually I've already had a meeting with the facilities team and prior to walking it, so I backfill my operations guy with all the information that I've learned. And then when we go and walk it, they already have that knowledge, and now we're looking to see how much labor we need for, to clean the preschool, how much labor we may need to clean the sanctuary, how many days a week. That way, when we turn in our bid, it's pretty much spot on of what it needs.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, and I don't think a lot of people consider 80% of the cost as labor. And they always look at that bottom line. Oh, well, this company's coming in, at this price, so let's go with that. But, really they should kind of take a step back and look at the big picture. I think
absolutely. So when we always say, if you get 3 bids and they're kind of all over the place, it really boils down to how many hours per day or per week or per month is built into that. And you can pretty much distinguish on the low end, well, obviously they're going to have the least amount of labor because we all pretty much make about the same profitability as the others. If there's about a 20% gap, we usually say there can be a relatively good assumption that there could possibly be subcontracting done. The problem with subcontracting is they don't pay payroll taxes. They 1099 the employees to come in there. And the problem with that is at the end of the year, those 1099 employees, what happens is, let's hypothetically say it's a $10,000 a month contract. They give the 1099 employees 6,000 of it and say, y'all figure it out. Well, if John's the housekeeper, he brings father, son, uncle, aunt, nephew, and then the facility really kind of loses their ability to control who's inside of that church or that private school. And in a private school, it's even more important because you're talking about children.
So on that kind of brings up a question as far as like with PJS, are you guys insured?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. And all of our labor is our labor. We don't subcontract anything at all. All of our employees are PJS employees. Okay. Definitely insured.
That's good. So kind of on a practical question, what advice would you give to churches, schools, other nonprofits on, as they're looking to maintain a clean and healthy environment for their facility?
Yeah, absolutely. I believe that every facility is uniquely different, and especially in a church and a private school. Every church, every private school has different needs. I like to kind of go in on that first meeting and have a 20 to 40 minute conversation about what's going on. I want to understand why we're having this conversation, what issues have come up in the facility, what they've tried to do to fix those issues. I have a belief if I don't fully understand what's going on there, I could put together a janitorial program with some, elementary knowledge, but without really understanding what's going on inside the facility, you're going to miss the boat somewhere along the way.
Yeah.
There's a difference, especially during COVID. It became a very big catchword of cleaning for health. I can pull up documents, marketing information from 20 years ago that talk about us cleaning for health, right? So our idea is, if you clean it properly, you put enough labor, time, tools, materials, training within a facility, and you properly clean it for health, you're providing a healthier, safer environment for your congregation and for your students. We may be a little bit more expensive than our competition, but if we're providing a healthy, safe environment that might be able to bring one or two more students into the school, or a couple more families into the congregation, I always say, does that not offset the additional cost, right? You look at a church, and their number one goal is spread the word of God, to keep the congregation in their seats, and to bring new families into that congregation or school. And we're in a position that janitorial is in a position that it can either positively affect that or at times negatively affect that.
Right.
And it's our job to make sure that we're being good stewards of the campus's finance. And sometimes that is putting enough time and thought into the janitorial contract and making sure we're providing a healthy, safe environment.
Okay. So what would you say is one of the most challenging cleaning situations you've experienced, and then how did you handle it?
Yeah, that's a great question, especially in today's world, and by no stretch of the imagination is this any sort of political conversation, but the current administration has canceled renewing of TPS, which is temporary protection status, for Central and parts of South America. And what that means is we have millions of laborers in the United States that are on TPS, and they renew every 6 months. And what that means, that they've been postponed and canceled right now, is that when they renew in 6 months, they're not, or when they expire in 6 months, they're not going to renew. And we know when somebody on our team is on TPS or a work visa, and when it expires, we'll have constructive knowledge of their legal status to work, and we have to remove them from the team, because then we would be breaking federal employment laws. What that means for the industry, from top to bottom, your landscapers, your maintenance engineers within your facility, your housekeepers, is there are going to be millions of people that lose their status. We believe that there's going to be about a 10% increase in costs of doing business over the next 6 to 12 months, mainly because with bringing all this manufacturing back to America, we all start trying to hire the same labor pool, right?
So it's a competitive issue there.
It's going to be very competitive. You're talking about restaurant workers, maintenance workers, engineering, construction, landscape. We just want to make sure we are positioning ourselves properly with the correct pay rates to attract the best labor.
Right.
So we're telling all of our partners and clients that expect anywhere from a 5 to 10, maybe a 12% increase in services, so that we can make sure we're keeping our laborers in their facility. The last thing we want to do is have a bunch of turnover within a facility. When you have a lot of turnover within a facility, that's when you start having issues. And we want to try to limit issues. It's our job to clean the facility. We don't want the facility managers having to start micromanage cleaning, because that's not their job. That's our job.
Yeah, that's good. One question that I've heard come up before with some of our members is just kind of thinking through some things, is how has like technology and different types of innovation changed the janitorial industry?
Yeah, that's a great question. As it relates to technology, janitorial is still very, very archaic. We talked about 80% is labor. I don't envision in the near future of 10 years that technology is going to start replacing what we do within a facility, but there are technology advances that are starting to come out. There are battery operated backpack vacuum cleaners that we're starting to implement in most new accounts. Why is that unique or special? Well, when you have a corded backpack vacuum, that's when you start seeing walls getting damaged. While we train our vacuum specialists not to do the old whip of the cord to unplug it from halfway down the hallway, the reality of it is it still happens, and that's when you start seeing outlets, light up, and you have to change them out, corners getting done. So battery operated vacuum cleaners are starting to become a new thing. Outside of that, there are autonomous vacuum cleaners and autonomous auto scrubbers. I don't believe our market is at the point where we're going to start implementing those. In everyday accounts, there are going to be some very, very high level accounts only because of the cost associated to those machines. But innovation, that is a great thing to talk about. We have a very specialized cleaning system. It's called the ICS cleaning system, innovative cleaning system, that we developed over the last 25 years, where the idea of it is to make our cleaning system, for lack of a better phrase, as simple, stupid as possible for the cleaners. The nature of our business is most of our nighttime cleaners are part-timers, and they come to us for supplemental income, right? And they just want 4 hours a night to supplement their full-time day job, right? So they're tired. They've worked 8 hours already. You're going to work 12 hours by the time their shift is over. So our mindset is, let's make it as simple as possible for them, so that when our housekeepers show up to work at night for us, our team members, they don't have to think about what they do or have to do within their facility. So all of our facilities that we clean, whether it's a downtown commercial office building or a private school in River Oaks or a church out in Katy, their cleaning system is all the exact same. And why that is important is because I can take a restroom cleaner from downtown and I could put them in a private school in River Oaks, and they know how to clean bathrooms because it's the exact same process. All they have to do is learn the campus or where those restrooms are. Kind of to double click a little bit more into our cleaning system, all of our chemicals are pre-packaged chemicals, 1-to-1. So they take a chemical packet, open it up, pour it into a mop bucket, fill it up with water, or open it up, pour it into a spray bottle, fill it up with water, and they're ready to go. We wanted to eliminate the thought of, okay, how much chemical? Even with the dispensing systems that go on the wall, there's still some user error that can take place within those. We wanted to eliminate that and make it as simple as possible for our housekeepers. We also wanted to implement a high-level quality control program for all of our accounts. We have two team members on our team, 2 quality control managers. One of them was a facility manager for about 10 years. She came to us and was kind of looking for something different. And she's been with us for 3 years now. And the second was an operations manager at another large janitorial company who also was looking for something a little bit different. Their only job is to go account by account. Operations has no idea where they're going to be. They report to one of our executive vice presidents who's not in operations, and they go in and they do a quality control audit of the facility. Their job is to find efficiencies that need to be improved on, and my operations team a lot of times don't love when they show up because they find things that they need to improve on.
That makes it better.
That is our goal of it's easy to get complacent in this industry, and our job is to make sure that our team members are always trying to get a little bit better incrementally.
Okay. The last question I have is, so if an organization, church or school, something like that, was to work with PJS, are they dealing only with you, directly with you, or how does that work?
Yeah, so initially, yes, right? From the sales standpoint, I'll be the point of contact of getting everything done start to finish, right?
Okay.
Then we close the account, they sign up with PJS, then we kind of really spread the love out, right? So I'm always going to be involved in it from a PR, high-level PR standpoint. But then there's going to be our director of operations will be involved. There'll be an operations manager involved, and then an area manager. The area manager will be directly over the account, over our team members that are getting the job done. But we want all 4 levels to be included on any emails that come out, because we want to make sure that our clients are feeling the love. If anything pops up, if there's an issue, that we're quickly responding to that issue, we're correcting that issue. And then from my standpoint, if I'm seeing that something isn't getting done or there's been some repeat issues, I like to be involved because I can typically light a fire that gets things done a little bit quicker.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for coming out. Appreciate you sharing with us, and we look forward to seeing what comes about.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for joining us today. For more information on PJS, please visit our website, www.churchcoop.org. We look forward to seeing you next time.